I'm not a morning person.
Dedicated to being passionate about it.
Bodybuilders have become more lazy.
People have always thought I lift fake weights.
Iran and the United States.
You take responsibility for that. Now, it's interesting you mentioned, you kind of have to be careful talking about certain things, right? Because you don't want to offend anybody. And the cool thing about you is that you've been a bodybuilder yourself, right? And you've also been an analyst. You've been basically, hosting a lot of the shows. You've been doing reporting on a lot of shows. You've been in the media for a while. And is that difficult for you to be able to express your thoughts on, let's say, a physique or a bodybuilder, right? But then usually not get a response back, or Dennis, you're just hating. You know what I mean? Like, how do you walk that line?
Yeah, can nobody say I'm hating, because I've been there, done it. You know what I mean? Just because I didn't win the Olympics doesn't make me somebody that's not allowed to speak about other bodies. But the thing is, I have a very straightforward way of saying things. You know what I mean? And I've learned that some guys or girls, and sometimes they just don't know how to handle my straightforwardness. You understand what I'm saying? So that's why sometimes when I know something, I want to just tell it like it is. Sometimes I just have to change the words a little bit to make them understand that I'm not trying to fucking shit on you, but just, criticize, give you some constructive criticism instead of just trashing you. I don't want to trash anyone. If I want to trash you, you'll know, because I'll trash you. If I want to trash you, I'll just give it to you the way I want to say it. But no, I just want to give constructive criticism and let's tell people, really what I see.
Sure. Well, I mean, you obviously have credibility. You can talk about anybody because you, like you mentioned, you have credibility behind you, right? You've won multiple shows. You've been on Olympia stage many times. But generally speaking, do you feel like sometimes the guys, and it's a small industry, right? Everybody knows everybody. But do you think sometimes there's a sensitivity factor happening where, you give somebody a critique, right? Because you analyze in the show, let's say, and then they go on social media and they talk about you. I mean, that happens sometimes. Not with you, but like with other analysts too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it happens all the time. In this sport, it's very important that if people don't respect you, you can say whatever you want. They're gonna can. You know what I mean? If you get respect, you know what I mean? You have to earn respect. In order to give respect, sometimes you got to get respect back. But there's a lot of so-called experts that do analyze and criticize athletes and never even been on stage or even close to a stage. You know what I mean? So, and some of them are just not qualified to say anything. Now with the internet, everybody has a voice. You know what I mean? And there's some websites out there, they get crazy amount of hits. They have no clue what they're talking about. You know what I mean? That's the only thing I don't like about today, because back then, you knew who is who. Now you don't even know who people are when it comes to who covers bodybuilding, who talks about bodybuilding. You know what I mean? It
changed a lot, for sure. It changed a lot.
Just a little different, yeah.
Sure. Now, how do you feel about there's certain speculation happening right now that the men's open bodybuilding is going to keep diminishing. It's going to consist of less and less guys, while men's physique and men's classic physique are going to keep expanding. Those divisions are going to keep growing. Although, of course, men's open generates the most interest, right? But do you feel like we're going to continue having a lot of new blood coming in the division and really growing it forward?
I think the Mr. Olympia will always be the Mr. Olympia. It's always going to be the big boys. If you take the big boys out of the show, you'll see how many tickets you sell. I guarantee you that. Even though there's a lot of people watch physique, classic physique, because it looks a little more achieving for some of the guys and some of the fans, they still want to see the monsters. Absolutely. That's what the Mr. Olympia is. Every other show is not called Mr. Olympia. It's only one category that's called Mr. Olympia. Everything else it's not called Mr. Olympia. So we can't.
Do you feel like we're going to keep getting new talent to join a division for it to grow? You know what I'm saying? Do you think it's going to be more of these mass monsters, more of the real men's open requires a certain it's a lot of suffering, right? You really need to put your body through a certain amount of pressure. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it's always been this way. So why should it change? You know what I mean? There's a lot of knowledge out there right now, and if the new guys coming up understand, listen, more is not better, and if they understand that, I think it's going to go back. It's going to get better again. I think the sport will improve in the next couple of years, because all this bad mouthing of bodybuilding, it's going to help a little bit, you know, talking about, the 90s era, the era. I think it's going to help. I think that the guys are going to come in more conditioned. But at the end of the day, I have to understand these guys too. I mean, if you see who's winning or who's placing the top side, why should I get better conditioned when I'm placing? You know what I mean? So if you don't get punished for not being 100% on, why should you try to kill yourself to be in better condition? So, you know, it's normal. That's why everybody else, you know, if you compare Dexter Jackson, let's look at the Arnold in March. If you look at the Arnold and you just say, how many guys were really conditioned to the point where you say that was top condition? There was Max Charles. There was Morgan Astor, that big guy. There was Dexter, William. And then that's almost it.
Big Ramy was there, right?
Yeah, but he wasn't in 100% condition.
Mm-hmm.
He was there, but he wasn't in the condition that, as of the guy that I just mentioned. He gets away with other parts, you know what I mean, size and proportions. He stands out like that. But if you judge shows 15, 20 years ago, and you look through the top 10, everybody was conditioned.
Now,
So
no, go ahead.
So I think it's going to get better. I think the guys are now probably understanding that, listen, we need to bring condition back. And I'm almost positive that it will get better with the sport. I mean, the open category will get better reviews again, and the Olympia will always be the Olympia, no doubt.